Sahel neighbors Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger on Sunday announced their exit from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, edging closer to a threat earlier made to create a rival organization they say is meant to strengthen Pan-Africanism. The three landlocked countries have been under military coups for at least the past year. And they are each under sanctions by the West African bloc as well as suspended from the African Union, AU, both of which abhor military coups in their formative laws. ECOWAS is an amalgamation of 15 countries in West Africa and was established to promote regional integration through the free movement of their people and trade. The bloc has come under pressure since August 2020, when the military in Mali staged a coup, removing its democratically elected leader. Amid efforts to return the country to civilian rule, the military staged a second coup within a year, in 2021. Since then, a total of 6 successful coups have been staged in the region, with 4 countries currently under military rule. On January 28, the 3 military juntas in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger announced they would leave the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, a move that would limit opportunities for their citizens to seek justice for human rights violations. This brings us to our first question. What is ECOWAS? The 15-nation regional bloc Economic Community of West African States was established in 1975 with one goal: to promote cooperation and integration, in order to raise the living standards of its peoples and to maintain and enhance economic stability. But it has since grown to become the region's top political authority, often collaborating with states to solve domestic challenges on various fronts, from politics to economy and security, but this aim has remained unfulfilled. The situation has also been worsened by the withdrawal of some of its member states. It's the first time in the bloc's nearly 50 years of existence that its members are withdrawing in such a manner. Under the current leadership of Nigeria, West Africa's economic powerhouse, ECOWAS is needed more than ever, with the region's stability being threatened by rampant coups and security crises. It operates in a world where you need to be strong in one bloc and united in solidarity. The problem, though, is that some believe ECOWAS is fast losing goodwill and support from many West Africans who see it as failing to represent their interests in a region where citizens have complained of not benefiting from rich natural resources in their countries. Further, the ECOWAS treaty provides that its member states who wish to quit the bloc shall give its leadership a one-year written notice, at the end of which such a state shall cease to be a member of the community. Reasons for withdrawal. All 3 countries have been struggling to deal with militia violence and poverty. Despite the tension between the two, the Niger leadership was hoping for a resolution of the disagreement with ECOWAS, which has led to heavy sanctions on it through talks. Relations between ECOWAS and its member states under military rule deteriorated due to estranged relations with Western nations, particularly France, which has been asked out in all 3 countries. France was a major source of support for the fight against the insurgencies in the region. Its withdrawal has seen tension increase in the region. But the military regimes and their supporters have accused the Western nations of being behind the instability, whose effects have spilled over to the neighboring nations of Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Ivory Coast in the larger Gulf of Guinea. The 3 countries have given 3 main reasons for leaving the West African bloc. First is what they call the illegal, illegitimate, inhumane, and irresponsible sanctions imposed on them for truncating their democracies. Second is the failure of ECOWAS to assist them in their existential fight against terrorism and insecurity. Besides, the juntas have also argued that ECOWAS has deviated from the founding principles of the organization and is now controlled by foreign powers. Implications of the withdrawal. The exit of the 3 nations will present a number of challenges for both ECOWAS and the region, as it undermines some of the bloc's founding principles. If their mission to pull out of ECOWAS becomes successful, then we are going to see a hindrance to the free movement of people in the region, which will affect trade, foreign direct investment, and economic cooperation. First of all, their exit could help set the scene for foreign intervention in the region, as they have already cut ties with France and other European countries offering them support in the fight against terrorism. The departure of France and other Western countries has now created a vacuum being filled by Russia, with others also likely to come in. Moreover, if the three landlocked countries do actually withdraw, they will face major economic obstacles as they will need to access the sea through other Ecowas members. The main impact will be on trade and economic development, as Ecowas is primarily an economic community, and the loss of any member will affect trade and economic development. Additionally, leaving the bloc could have other knock-on effects too, such as the economic collapse of the countries, as these countries have strategic importance, especially in food security. For instance, Niger is a key source of onions, while Burkina Faso exports tomatoes to the sub-region. Also, there are concerns that the three countries will enter into bilateral relationships with countries that might not be favorable to other Ecowas countries. For example, there are already concerns about Niger's alliance with Russia after it severed ties with France. Notably, the main impact on the countries will be on the movement of people, goods, and services since under Ecowas, members enjoy the unrestricted movement of citizens within the bloc. Citizens of Ecowas countries can live and work in any country in the bloc. For instance, there are more than 5 million citizens of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger living and working in Côte d'Ivoire alone. Ghana, Togo, and the Republic of Benin also host large numbers of Nigerians. However, the citizens of all three landlocked countries would no longer be able to travel to other Ecowas states without impediments. Niger also shares a border of over 1,600 kilometers with 7 states in Nigeria, and 80% of its trade is done with Nigeria. Notably, the sanctions imposed on Niger by Ecowas are already affecting citizens of the country, and therefore, hardship is likely to increase after the exit if Nigeria decides to police its borders. However, the withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger will create challenges for them in their fight with terrorism and stoke insecurity in the countries faced with insurgency. The security arrangement might not be affected in the short term, but it could be in the long term. Although the lack of security support from Ecowas was stated as one of the reasons for exiting, a total collapse of existing security infrastructure would affect not only the three countries but also other relatively stable states such as Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire, Togo, and Benin. The three states have joined forces to form the Alliance of Sahel states, but without support from regional groups such as Ecowas, they will struggle to curtail insurgencies. Future perspective. The withdrawal of members of Ecowas would have implications for Ecowas itself in terms of its mandate and purpose for integration to ensure joint security and economic integration. Therefore, Ecowas needs to have protocols and mechanisms in place to begin to respond to that situation of insecurity and instability before it leads to a point where governments are actually overthrown. Notably, criticism has been growing over the bloc's strict sanctions against Niger, including the threat of force following the July ouster of President Mohamed Bazoum. The key lesson for the regional bloc is that the juntas are very strategic, and at no point should it take these kinds of leaders for granted, especially since they started this whole idea of the Alliance of Sahel states. However, the decision to operate outside the regional bloc will not be easy and could lead to more challenges. Overall, this withdrawal is not in the best interest of the three countries or Ecowas, because if Ecowas is not providing the enabling environment for your security, what's the alternative they're looking at? No wonder the political impasse of the three countries has drawn closer to Russia, distancing themselves from formal colonial power France, and this could have a knock-on effect. There you have it. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you loved the content, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, and commenting. Ciao.